The Bridgestone Firestone case. This video shows the relationship between unsatisfied workers and poor quality products, and is mainly based on a paper published in April of 2004 by Alan B. Kruger and Alexander Mass, and which appeared in the Journal of Political Economy. Specifically, it focuses on the Bridgestone Firestone Decatur, Illinois plant in the mid-1990s, which produced tires. During this time, the company produced defective tires, which resulted in up to 271 fatalities and more than 800 injuries, plus the unreported accidents, which cannot be accounted for. This was also the time at which Bridgestone Firestone decided to move from an 8 to a 12-hour shift, as well as cutting pay for new hires by 30%. As a reaction to this, 4,200 of the workers embarked themselves on a severe strike. The company, in place of attempting to negotiate with the workers, instead hired new workers. Laboratory tests by Firestone and Ford have been unable to identify a single manufacturing or design defect that is single-handedly responsible for the high incidence of defective tires. The most common source of failure of the recalled tires was tread separation, that is, a sudden detachment of the rubber tread from the steel belts, causing the tire to blow out. One of every 400 tires produced in the Decatur, Illinois plant in 1995 was returned under warranty because of a tread separation by 2000. Congressmen, plaintiffs' attorneys, and reporters hypothesized that undertrained replacement workers or lack supervision during the strike contributed to the tire defects. Since a large part of the manufacturing process of the tires is handmade, the general situation of Firestone at the time may have contributed to the low quality of the product in three main reasons. One hypothesis poses that the increase of working hours may have led to exhaustion in the workers, which can in turn cause them to make mistakes. The second hypothesis contemplates that these mistakes were made on purpose by the striking workers as a way to sabotage the company and show the workers' discomfort. Third and last, the poor quality may have been due to improper capacitation administered to the new hires, resulting in poor performance from them. Other hypotheses posed by different agents include: Firestone executives proposed that part of the reason for the accidents was the design of the Ford Explorer, a make and model that used Firestone's tires, which they said was prone to rolling over. Another explanation they provided was that Firestone, as a manufacturer, recommended that the tires were inflated with a pressure of 30 psi, whereas Ford recommended a pressure of 25 psi. According to the former, lack of pressure in the tires created a heat-induced failure in them. Third, others have conjectured that features of the manufacturing process in the Decatur plant increased the risk of safety defects, including a shortening of the vulcanization process, time in which tires are cooked to imprint the tread, and plant conditions that may have allowed moisture to seep into the rubber linings. Fourth, some tire experts and workers have conjectured that faulty material inputs, such as outdated rubber, weakened tires manufactured in Decatur. And fifth, some have claimed that the design of the tires was responsible for the high rate of tread separations. After taking into account these factors, one may safely assume that there is a strong relationship between the time of the strike and the time in which defective tires were produced. Moreover, compelling evidence has been gathered and supports this same claim. First, descriptive analysis and count regression models using data on claims for compensation for property damage or personal injuries show significantly higher defect rates for tires manufactured in Decatur during the labor dispute, defined as 1994 through 1996, than in Decatur at other times or in other plants, conditional on production and other variables. Second, NHTSA data on complaints involving Firestone tires indicate a similar pattern. A significantly higher incidence of complaints filed concerning tires manufactured in Decatur during the strike period than at other times and at other plants. Third, the engineering tests conducted by Firestone, which hold constant conditions such as speed, load, tire pressure, and ambient temperature, indicate a higher failure rate for tires manufactured in Decatur during the strike compared with tires manufactured in Decatur during non-strike years in other plants. Several analyses have been made on the data collected after the claims. By analyzing the data with regression models that followed a Poisson behavior between three different tire factors, which are Decatur, Joalette, and Wilson, showed that 4 years after production, the tires produced in this factory were 15 times more likely to have resulted in a claim than others from other factories. This strongly implies that the problem is tied to this particular factory because in other years, although this factory had higher problems concerning defects, the amount of claims was never as high as in the years related with the strike. What all this evidence proves is that the manufacturing process of the tires was indeed not under statistical quality control, and measures needed to be taken. Ethical reflection on the company's behavior. The very fact that Firestone treated its workers with disregard speaks ill of the former, for, had they not had been so quick as to disregard their claims, many deaths and injuries may have been averted. Furthermore, working conditions of employees is not a matter to be taken lightly, for it holds the difference between a successful company and a failed one. It is possible that, at the time of the events, Firestone did not notice the extent of the damage made, not only directly to their own workers and injured people involved in car accidents, but also indirectly to the families of these people and to the image, credibility, and value of their very own company. And as the popular phrase says, adding insult to injury, Firestone, when confronted with the facts and asked to provide the world with explanations, not only denied their fault, but provided with unsustained claims that pointed the finger and the blame to other companies, like Ford. This, in our team's opinion, was a poor attempt to deflect attention and avoid responsibility. In the end, the factory was forced to shut down instead of proceeding with this action on its own. This behavior may not be punishable by law, since it creates reasonable doubts, but is certainly wrong in the eyes of ethics, a branch of philosophy in charge of providing with guidelines that allow people to live in peaceful, thrive, and healthy relationships. Firestone actions from 1994 through 1996 were not even close to complying with ethical values, and they are the perfect example of how not to handle a situation in which people's lives are at stake. Thank you.